you send a guest request if you're a Trump supporter above the age of 18. Hey, are you obsessed much?
What do you mean? Come on, everyone spams in your comment
Yeah, why are
section,
you
Parton.
spamming in the comment section because of me saying I hate Andrew Wilson?
Because you don't know why you hate him. You just say stuff like this.
I
Tell me
do,
what Andrew Wilson has said or done that's so
I do
atrocious
know
that
why I
you
hate him.
tell me what he said or done why you so atrociously hate him.
Yeah, I think he's a bad faith loser that specifically tries to demean women constantly all the time, specifically by engaging in bad faith debate tactics. One good specific example would be him trying to make fun of my friend Naima for not being able to open up an olive jar because she's a woman. That was the argument he was making. He was making, oh, haha, funny. She can't open up this olive jar because she's a woman. And then he couldn't open up the olive jar himself. So it was really funny that it was like irony, but it demonstrates that he's a horrible misogynistic loser that is trying to demean women to try to make himself feel empowered because of his insecure sense of a lack of self-confidence. Oh, he just left. He was pretty stunned when he found out that I actually had a reason why I disliked Andrew Wilson, that he just had to leave instead of engage with the fact that I just brought up on the stream. That was pretty embarrassing on behalf of him. Absolutely cooked. Absolutely cooked. Look, he just ran away immediately. He bolted real quick. Oh, wait, he's back.
Parker, I did not leave, bro.
Sorry, I thought you left. Okay, do you want to respond to what I just said?
You kicked me.
I didn't kick you.
Now I can't even see your.
Because I didn't even add you back up. It was a TikTok glitch. It happened to be a TikTok glitch. It made me think that you left the stream, but it happened to just like glitch you out.
Streams. By the way, I don't think you can really fairly say that offhanded or even off-color jokes make somebody misogynistic. Like, how do you know that? Like
you
how
don't
can
think
you
him
demonstrate
specifically making fun of Naima for not being able to open up an olive jar because she's a woman is misogynistic?
Do you think everyone that's made a similar joke or is
wait.
misogynistic?
Do you think that's not misogynistic?
No, I don't think that's a good example of him being misogynistic.
I think that's a very good example of him being misogynistic. That's quite literally him laughing at a woman for not being able to meet a specific stereotype that he is associating negatively with women.
I think that's also kind of a character he plays sometimes. You know, obviously, have you actually watched him debate
So he
before?
was playing a misogynistic character
Have
in
you
a
watched him
serious debate?
before? Have you watched him actually debate before? Or just
Yes,
clips?
I'm giving an example of a debate that I watched.
No, that's fine. So, what is the content of what he said in this debate that you disagree with, other than him like making some comment about her in a pickle jar?
I mean, I can go more into the depths of like how he was disputing the basis for feminism, his arguments on abortion, and Christian nationalism. I mean, we can go into the specific arguments, but I think that's a deflection away from the fact that he's a misogynistic loser here.
Well, no, I'm trying to actually get you to see. Again, I guess if your position is anyone that's ever made a joke, about women makes them like. I guess
No, I'm
you
not
can,
saying a joke about a specific woman makes you sex. Like, for example, I could make a joke specifically about how, for example, Natalie Harp is getting a little bit too close to Donald Trump, and that doesn't make me sexist for acknowledging that, right?
Okay, I'm
But
just saying, okay.
it would specifically be sexist in this instance because he's trying to make fun of a woman specifically for not being able to open up an olive jar, which is a negative stereotype he associates with women to be demonstrative of the fact that he thinks that women are quote unquote weaker, to reinforce this idea that they need to be quote unquote controlled, right? Because he actually doesn't believe in the women's right to vote. He believes it should be up to the household.
Because women are biologically weaker. I mean, I know you offhand, were saying that, but like,
But
you're
the
saying
idea of addressing that specifically was meant to invoke an idea that women are somehow subservient to men.
No, again, we can go through this. I mean, feminism, in the feminism he's talking about, the feminism that doesn't think that we rely on men, actually does rely on men every single day.
Are you a feminist?
I'm not a feminist in the sense of what I see it to be nowadays, which is a lot of anti-men
So
rhetoric.
can I tell you what feminism is?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it is liberation of women or people from the patriarchy, and people from the patriarchy, right? Alongside equality between men and women.
So that's interesting. Do you think dismantling the patriarchy is a core value or view of feminism?
Yes.
Interesting. How can you dismantle the very thing that protects you? Or why would you want to do that?
I think that patriarchy doesn't protect women. I think that it harms and disenfranchises women and men.
Okay, so I guess we may have to define the patriarchy, because a system that's put in place that protects all people, including women, definitely, is part of the patriarchy.
Wait, say that one more time. Sorry.
the system that is put in place that protects all people, men and women, which obviously women are a part of
How
that
does the
group.
patriarchy protect women?
I mean, I guess this is what I'm talking about. I guess we have to define the patriarchy. Are we just talking about a system that is mostly governed and ran by men? Is that because it's men? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at the exclusion of women.
Well, in what way? Women are in every single, job probably thinkable. It doesn't exclude women just because women do certain things less.
There is social exclusion of women, especially like the idea that like a woman couldn't be president in of itself is a mechanism of social exclusion of women from these positions of power. Men predominantly hold these positions disproportionately. Okay, they make up less than
What
50% of society,
positions,
but
by the
make
way?
up over 70% of those in Congress.
Okay, so you're saying that the fact that a woman has not become president yet means they're excluded from it?
It's an example of the exclusion, a social exclusion of women from positions of power, not because of lack of qualifications, but rather because of social exclusion through the context of the existence of the patriarchy, because patriarchy doesn't exist just through a legal context, but also through a social context, and it's also passed down through social behavior, culture, and society, right? Like those are all things that disenfranchise women. So again,
Yeah,
patriarchy disenfranchises women, right? Is not protecting or benefiting women. The idea that patriarchy protects or benefits women is absurd and laughable in the event of the fact that we see that women are clearly disenfranchised by the patriarchy.
first of all, women, okay, maybe the president, actually, no, even in this situation, women choose to do jobs differently than men. And you can say that, like, you can make these arguments, but women are not applying, I mean, to be president nearly as much as men are. So they're choosing to do this less. And we can look at lots of different fields that women
And
do not
that can be
partake in.
due to social influences in society that prevent women from being able to think that it's even a reliable idea for them to even run for president in the first place, let alone the fact that there were plenty of other candidates that are women that just weren't voted for. For example, Nikki Haley versus Trump. Nikki Haley wasn't voted for over Trump.
And you're going to say somehow this is a like negative on the patriarchy? Like, if it is the case
Yeah,
that,
can
like,
you
let's
name
say
a single nominee of the Republican Party that wasn't a white man?
no, I don't think I can. However, like you're looking at like something as a fact, and you're trying to attribute why it's a fact. How do you know that it's just because that's not the vast majority of people that are running for the thing?
Because the fact that there are candidates that are women and people of color that were Republicans that just aren't voted for.
So you're saying that
Like
just
people
because this
literally
thing
wouldn't vote
exists
for
means they
Vivek
need to
because
be.
they're racist.
But okay, again, you're attributing the reason as to why someone doesn't vote for because of a certain thing. Like you can't
Those
just
were the
say
reasons. In the
if
Republican
there's
Party, they
10,
are very racist and misogynistic.
that's fine, but if there's 10 people applying for a job at any firm and, nine of them are white and one is black, just because the black guy's not chosen doesn't inherit racism or it doesn't signal racism. And you're making a similar
Yeah,
argument
but
to.
there was a lot of racism and misogyny in the idea that people wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump.
Well, no, I'm not saying that there's not racist people and stuff, but again, if we're gonna bring this back to feminism, and you're talking about the patriarchy. Yeah, the police force is like the vast majority is made up of men, and they protect everybody, including women. So, I mean, are you gonna say that the police are not part of some patriarchal society, and if so, are they not protecting us?
Yeah, so when we're talking about protection, you're also talking from a net basis,
Okay,
right?
can you explain what you mean?
Yeah, like
Just
for example, if someone kidnaps another person and is like has them on the verge of death, but gives them food to keep them alive, they're protecting them from starvation, but they're clearly putting them in harm's way. Would we say overall they're protecting them, or do we say overall they're not protecting them because they kidnapped them?
wait, are we using this as a different example? Or are you talking about the police?
Yeah, I'm asking you specifically. If we were to talk about a specific person that kidnapped another individual and protects them from dying from starvation, but clearly isn't protecting them because they harm them or torture them, would you think specifically that that person is being protected by the person who kidnapped them?
No, of course not. Can you
But within that
extrapolate?
one specific quality, they are protecting them from starvation. So the
No, that's
idea that they
fine.
are so the idea that women are protected by police in some specific instances is not evidence that broadly the patriarchy does not protect women.
Can you? You're gonna
Does
and
that
the
make
point.
sense? Like, is that
No, no,
clear?
no. No, I'm definitely tracking what you're saying. I'm taking dispute with the fact that you think there's so many other ways the patriarchy harms women, and I'm trying to refute that and say that, in specifically in the examples you've already brought up, men are choosing to do these jobs much more often than women. Just because women are not chosen at certain times does not signal patriarchy bad in my mind. So I'm
You mean
trying to like,
specifically positions of power, right?
okay, we just yes.
You don't think that there's any patriarchal or misogynistic influences that prevent women from being in positions of power?
I mean, first of all, women are in positions of power. I
I'm
mean,
asking,
maybe
are there any of these social influences, misogynistic forces that prevent women from getting into positions of power? Yes or no?
I wouldn't be able to demonstrate it, and I don't think you could either. For example, yes,
Wait,
Hillary
yes or
Clinton.
no?
Are there
The
misogyny?
answer is clearly yes. Okay, clearly there are misogynistic and patriarchal forces that prevent women from being able to get in positions of power within our society. We have not created a completely egalitarian society where there's equality amongst men and women in getting into positions of power. That's simply
Do you?
false. Okay,
Oh, here's
you
a.
know
Do
that's
women have?
false. You're just not willing to acknowledge it.
No,
Okay,
no.
let's just be
I have a
very
question.
clear. Do you agree that that's not in protection of women?
I mean, I can say yes. There's misogyny at probably every level in the world, just like there's everything else. But that is not the reason why women hasn't become president yet.
Wait, but it's
Like,
an
hold on.
element or one of the aspects, not the sole factor, but one of the factors.
But do
But
you
that
think
isn't
that
a
women?
factor for men.
Do you think that women have to,
Misandry against men has
achieve?
never prevented a man from getting into a position of power.
Do women have to achieve every single thing that a man has done for this to be like some sort of perfectly balanced? Like, what are you saying though? What's the
I
conclusion
think
of
it's
what you actually say?
fundamental to have both men and women in positions of power
We do.
for there to be an abolishment of the patriarchy.
We do have women and women in positions of
Not
power. If
not
you're only
proportion not proportionally in response to the rest of society, not
yes, but women do
representative
not
of the rest of
proportionally
society.
women do not proportionally sign up for these jobs.
Wait, and that
Equal
can
to the
be due
rest.
to patriarchal forces as well, which I would argue is true.
But you can demonstrate that, and I can also demonstrate,
I did already
how it's
demonstrate that.
okay. So are we only? First of all, we're only talking about positions of power, or do you want to talk about just
No,
other like? Because
I've already talked about how broadly in society that women are disenfranchised by the patriarchy and by our patriarchal systems. Let's just be very clear here. You're arguing against the existence of feminism, right?
well, wait. No,
You think you think
feminism
you think that
exists.
you think that you shouldn't be feminist
Well, you defined feminist in a certain way, and you brought that as some sort of
in the way that I
dismantling.
define feminism. Are you a feminist?
In the way that you defined it, I am not, because you're talking about dismantling patriarchy.
So you don't want to dismantle the patriarchy.
No, I think the patriarchy is beneficial to everybody. Just because there are certain ways, and
Why?
it's not. By the way, it's not.
Why is the patriarchy the best form of running society?
Okay, so first of all, are we talking about the alternative being a matriarchy, or are you saying there's a different way that we should do it?
Egalitarianism,
Okay, meaning what? Like exactly balanced,
equality
like down.
between men and women.
Think there is equality between men and women? Can you name things that women cannot do that only men can?
Yeah, have autonomy over their body.
Okay, if you want to talk abortion, we can, but I don't think that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah, that's
Really.
an example.
Again, and that's not exact. That's not a good example because it's not
That
just
is
your
a very
body.
good example.
There's another body inside of your body. That's not a good example.
That is a great example because embryos aren't people.
Well, hold on. Wouldn't you say that it's unfair that men can't get pregnant then, using your silly logic?
Well, I mean, I do think that some men can get pregnant. They're trans
Yeah.
men
So
are men and they can get pregnant.
trans women. Okay. I mean, I like the fact that we're all over the board. At least it makes it interesting. Trans men are women. Trans
No,
women are
trans
men.
men are men and trans women are women.
Okay. Well, by the way, you were talking. You asked me
I'm
another.
sorry that facts hurt your feelings, but the way that we define the term definitely indicates that trans women are women and trans men are men. By you equivocating with your definition of the term, that doesn't respond to my logically coherent usage of the term. So cope and seethe, loser.
Okay, Parker. Somebody else asked you earlier
I have
what
to
your
get off. Any last words?
yeah, your weakest point of debate is trans people, and you hardly ever debate them for this reason.
I just debated it on the stream, genius. Would you like to respond?
You gave me a definition, which is just a silly
You
definition.
said it's my weak. You said it's my weakest argument, and then I don't argue it.
Because you're going to define a woman
Didn't I argue it against Charlie Kirk? Don't I argue it on my stream like every single day? Isn't it one of the main things that people bring up on the stream? And I defend trans people in every single situation. So if you want to sit up there and say I don't defend trans people, you know that you're lying because you say it's my worst topic, and you try to brand my positions and liberals as just holding to that topic. So cope and see the weirdo.
But all you say is there's very few of them in sports. That's like you don't like to talk about.
Is that not true?
It doesn't make the case that it's not a topic that should be talked about.
It is. It is because of the fact that it's a non-issue and that you can't mention it. Can you mention one person that was dominating women's sports that was prevented from playing in women's sports because of Trump's executive order?
No, I'm not educated on
That's what I thought, because there is no example.
Can I ask you something? Why was Enes Kanter not allowed to play in the WNBA? He identified as a
because
woman.
everyone knows that he's lying.
Lying? How are we going to know?
Everyone knows that he's lying, and he wasn't on multiple years of HRT, and he doesn't meet the conditions specifically outlined by the WNBA to be a member of the WNBA.
I thought you just have to be a woman.
You have to understand that like HRT is the consideration. It was the hormone levels, and also he's not a woman.
A woman in your mind, and I've heard you define it before, is someone that meets the the characteristics in
Is
accordance with
committed towards
wanting.
the social and cultural norms typically associate the female sex as a prescription of their gender identity, and his cancer does not meet that definition. We can clearly tell he's lying and just trying to prove a point.
I mean, you would have to like follow somebody's life.
I'm sorry. Are you like genuinely dumb enough to believe that he's actually not just trying to prove a point? Because I think that's incredibly dishonest and bad faith of you, meant to specifically try to make the point that you're clearly failing at making.
Well, no, obviously, I don't think he's a woman.
Okay, that's what I thought. Later, bud. All right, I'm gonna get off, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming through to the stream.